long as you win the game. I mean, I'm sure everybody over there at Florham Park is relieved this morning, especially after that first half of football with Malachi Corley doing his thing. I mean, I don't know how many times we have to see boneheaded plays like that. I mean, this game shouldn't even have been close because C.J. Stroud played terrible.
Yeah.
And obviously he was missing two of his most important wide receivers, and Aaron Rodgers had his two most important wide receivers. And, you know, I want to take you back to the Giants and Steelers game for 1 second.
Sure.
George Pickens goes up with the ball. He's in the end zone. He comes down. His right foot hits twice, but his left foot never hits. No touchdown. Last night, Garrett Wilson makes one of the great catches you will ever see. It's reminiscent of OBJ, of course. He comes down with the ball. They rule him out of bounds. But then they go back and they replay it. Somebody in New York decided that the shin hit before the knee hit.
Yep.
I mean, like, look, as somebody around here, and I guess part of me wants, I'm rooting for them. So I want that call to be a touchdown. I'm a former quarterback. I love offensive plays. But, I mean, honestly, the week before, George Pickens' right foot touches twice, no other part of his body touches, and they call it out of bounds.
Well, it was, though, because he had to get 2 feet, right? Or a knee or whatever. But
well, hold on. I know. The whole John Madden, one knee equals 2 feet.
Yeah, so
whatever.
he didn't. He's got
but 2 feet. But 2 feet don't equal 2 feet, especially if it's only 1 foot.
I'm confused now. To me, it was pretty.
Did you see the play? Did you see the play?
Of course, I saw the play.
No, I'm talking about the Pickens play.
Yes, it's a Giants Steelers game. Why would I not see the play?
No, I don't
and
know.
We talked about it the next day a lot. So here's the difference to me. So 1 foot touches twice, right? And you have to get both feet in. He didn't get the other foot in. Not a touchdown. Last night, it was determined that 1 foot was down and then a shin was down. So if the shin was down, it was a touchdown. Now, if you agree with that or not, I don't know, but I feel like that was the rule.
Let me ask you, what is the knee doing?
The knee didn't touch it.
So that's
the knee didn't touch it.
I have to say, I'm happy again.
Well, I mean, are you not seeing it? I mean, I know it's like
I thought it was simultaneously, but I guess because the knee. I'm just saying, I'm happy that they called it a touchdown because I wanted Garrett to have that catch, and because it was remarkable and you could see the athleticism of it and everything. The other thing that was nice is that his first touchdown pass he actually caught while he was running. Yeah. And that was a good thing, too, to watch him score a touchdown that way. Yeah. But I don't know. I mean, I'm sitting there watching this last night, and I'm thinking, that's out of bounds. That's out of bounds. And all of a sudden it comes back, he's in bounds because his shin hit first.
Well, I actually think...
I'm sorry. I'm looking at Al, and he's actually shaking his head. What do you think here?
I'm with you on that one. I don't understand. He didn't get his knee in. It was either 2 feet or a knee or an elbow.
Well, they say shin is the same. The shin down is the same as a knee.
I never heard that till this morning.
Well, it doesn't mean it's not the rule. You also never heard of Malachi Corley until this morning. Doesn't mean he wasn't born.
That's true.
I mean, I don't know how that is an argument. I mean, it's part of the rule.
I mean, does it say in the rule book, or we're just assuming they said it's shin?
No, it does say it. I've heard that before, and they said on the broadcast because it's part of the rule. So, I mean, it's a silly thing, but its shin is the same as the knee.
So, did you see the play in Pittsburgh versus the Giants?
Yes.
All right, so his right foot touches twice, his left foot never hits the ground. I mean, I don't know. To me, George Pickens was more in bounds than Garrett Wilson.
Not according to the rules.
And I want them both to be touchdowns because I'm an offensive player, and the more touchdowns, the better. And it's better for everybody's fantasy football team out there.
So you want the rules to be changed?
I just want it. I guess because there's so many nuanced things that happen in a football game. I don't know. I was shocked when they came back and said that he was in bounds. That's all I'm saying.
Because you don't like the rules?
No, it's not because I don't like the rules. Because I thought I saw his knee come down out of bounds.
Did you change your opinion when you saw something differently here, or no?
It's still, to me, it's like right on the cusp of like, what is that? I'm sure I did not see any post-game press conferences. I'm sure Jerry will have all of it, but I didn't hear anything from the Houston Texans side as to whether or not they thought that was really a touchdown.
Yeah, and it's like it's anything too, but like a hand, right? Like, isn't that part? Like, if a hip comes down, like all those things are part of it. Like a shin is part of it. It just is. I mean, it's crazy. We went through, well, what is a catch? What's not a catch? I mean, to me, this one's pretty
obvious
in the sense of what they called. Now, you could disagree with the shin coming down first and not ahead of the knee if you see it that way. Yeah. But as far as the rules go, it's pretty cut and dry. They say on this one foot hitting twice does not count. That's a college touchdown. The other foot didn't get in. This one, they saw that the shin hit before the knee, so that counts as a touchdown. That's what it is.
It's bizarro for me, and I'm sure that the Texans probably see it differently than we do.
Why is it bizarro? It's just the rules.
Just the fact that both things happened on back-to-back, like one happened on Monday night, the other one happened on Thursday night. It's just strange, that's all. I don't know. It's just, and I understand, I think I understand, like, the fans' frustration with the whole thing. That's what I'm trying to say, I guess.
Okay.
Like I said, I'm happy for the touchdown, and I wish George Pickens.
But what are they frustrated about? They're frustrated about that they don't like the way that the rules are.
I guess the way the rules are enforced or not enforced. I don't. Look,
but they were enforced here properly.
Okay, don't argue with me. I'm just giving.
Okay, so I won't argue with you, so that you could talk about this in a way that I totally disagree with, and I won't argue with.
I think no.
Is that what you like?
No, just relax for 1 second. I'm happy that it was a touchdown because I thought it was an incredible catch. Okay. It really, truly was an incredible catch. And it ended up helping, obviously, the Jets win a game. So it was ruled a touchdown. So I was happy for that. I'm just thinking it from the Texans' point of view, from a Texans fans' point of view. We see it from this point of view.
No, I see it completely objectively.
All right.
I see it completely objectively. It's clear as day on the replay. The shin is down before the knee. That's what they called. So that was the right call.
I'm wondering if I'm trying to remember, and I've done 1,000 games. I feel like watched 1,000 games. I have to say that was about as close as it was, and I would say I was probably 50-50 on it. But I was surprised when they came back and they awarded him a touchdown.
Well, the fact that they because they called it incomplete on the field. I would say that it was a little surprising as well, but that one zoom-in replay that CBS Sports Network has is the one where I said, wow, that's the one that they saw, and they changed it.
All right, I'm just I see the shin is down.
Before the knee.
But let me ask you a question.
White?
Can I just ask you a question?
Yeah.
Where does the shin start and end?
I mean, below the knee. So,
would you say that the top of the shin landed out of bounds?
No.
Okay.
Because the knee starts and the knee is above. So
I mean, like I see where the knee is. But look, I can clearly see where the knee is, but I think at the top of the shin came down out of bounds.
Okay. Well,
I don't know where the shin starts and ends over there in New York. I'm not over there in the war room, as they say. I'm not sure. I mean, do you think that they have a medical advisor over there?
I don't know. I don't know. I'm happy the Jets won the game. I am. I'm happy for them. I'm happy that they won the game, and I'm happy that catch was ruled a catch, and I think that they did it right.
And now I will say the first touchdown by Garrett Wilson, that was something, because Aaron, he put it out there, and Garrett was getting undercut, and he came very close to being picked. But the fact that he caught that ball full speed ahead, the ball was just out in front of him, snags it with one hand, and runs it into the end zone. That's the Garrett Wilson I really want to see.
Yeah, and you hadn't seen any of that this season. Nothing. Very big. Even the games that he had where he had a bunch of catches, he really wasn't anything spectacular. And last night it was spectacular. And you had Aaron Rodgers with Devontae Adams having that connection.
Did you see the catch by Devontae Adams where he gets hit and it looks like he gets hurt?
Yeah.
All right. So that is the connection between Rodgers and Adams in that situation, because Adams knew what the coverage was and knew where he was going to be. And if you see, he slows down and stops. almost stops, and Aaron reads it perfectly. So that's the in sync part of Rodgers and Adams on a play like that. And it was a perfectly thrown ball, and it was a perfectly run route. And that you love to see that, and that's something that we really hadn't seen. And then you saw a couple back shoulder throws last night that were connected on, because that's something that they've had problems with. You know, they've completed some of them, but I would say that thank God for that second half, because that first half was basically unwatchable with, unfortunately, all the injuries, the flags, the piss poor play of both teams. Both offenses fumbling the ball, stumbling around. I mean, it was basically unwatchable.
Yeah, no, it was awful, and it was to me compounded by the fact that the baseball season was over, and knowing these teams, both teams were 2-6. You know, the Jets going into last night, and then watching that first half, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be
oh my gosh,
papaya. You know, and I was like, this is just like, we're going to have to go through November and December watching this, and like the Giants might be worse. This is going to be horrible. Like, what are we going to do? But you got that second half. Now, if you want to try to project forward, the one thing, which I won't, they're not, in my opinion, going to make the playoffs. It's just too hard of a task. I don't think they're that good. But if you want to do that, you're allowed to do that this morning, because in that second half and with the defense for the entire game, you saw they were finally capable of doing something on both sides of the ball to a good football team.
Yeah, well, a good football team without two of its most important players.
Okay,
which are wide receivers, which obviously you see why wide receivers get paid.
No, of course.
Because they're game changers. Now, the other thing, too, is had they won in New England on Sunday, it would have been a completely different set of circumstances. The New England loss could come back ultimately and hurt them, depending on what they do moving forward here. But that was the path. They had to win. I felt like they had to win that game. They had to get back to potentially 6-5. And even again, they were talking about it last night. How they see it. What are they looking at? And you got to go to the Cardinals. It's not going to be an easy game. Kyler Murray's going to be running all over the place. And then you got the Colts, and depending on who you're playing, it's either Joe Flacco or Anthony Richardson, which would be unbelievable.
Well, unless Joe Flacco gets hurt, it's going to be Joe Flacco, because they said he's the quarterback for the rest of the year. So, and that's, you would much rather see Anthony Richardson with the display that he put on last week. So it'll be Flacco. I mean, so what, 5-6 is the best they could do going into the bye, and if they do that and they're on a 3-game winning streak, then the fan base, I think, is activated again. But it'll be a tall task, because we've seen really, and since the first Patriot game, we have seen one half of good football from the Jets. It just happened to be the last half we saw.
And again, only 21 points scored here, but it should have been more with Malachi not doing, having the brain fart.
Yeah,
I mean, how many times do we talk about, Kyle Pitts almost did this.
Yeah, I don't understand. What is that?
And I put the ball in your hands, cross the end zone, and then once you get in there, you can do whatever dopey dance you want to do. You can celebrate any way you want to celebrate. But please secure the goddamn football when you cross the goal line.
So, they talk about the hold everybody accountable. You got 10 million wide receivers on this team. This kid does that, gone. That would be my accountable. Seriously. You got a million wide receivers. You just traded for another one. You got wide receivers coming out of your ears on this team. But you don't need this kid doing that crap.
I know, but you see the he's got speed. That's the thing. And you can see on the sideline.
So did Kadarius Toney.
It's really hard to hold these kids accountable by sitting them down. I mean, because the last thing you want to do is you don't want to negatively impact him overly zealous, because you want to be able to have him play football and be effective and be a part of the team. And, it's inexcusable. I mean, maybe he should go play for the Yankees.
I mean, yeah, it sort of feels like that. Like, it just does. It makes no sense to me. And he's not the only one, which is another one of those things. It's like, how can you lose the sense that you have of a football field in that moment? Like, you can't go another foot without dropping the football.
And by the way, since it is my first touchdown, if it were me,
yeah,
I'd hold on to that ball. I'd never let that ball go.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Oh my gosh.
Man.
Yeah, of course.
Phil Simms has had an amazing effect on you. This commercial
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I hear, oh my gosh, oh my God, a lot.
Yeah,
lately.
yeah. I'd do it.
Yes.
That's another thing I say in my private life too. I'd do it. I mean, it really has. I mean, and it's a positive influence. It's something I'm embracing.
I know it is. So if you're Malachi, you got to hold on to that ball. It's your touchdown. It's your first touchdown in the NFL. What are you doing?
Well, it's not. It's not.
I mean, is it a cool thing or something? Is that what it is? Is it like a cool thing to just barely get across the goal line and then just drop the ball? Is it supposed to be a look or something?
It might be. I'm not familiar with that look. But
now Kyle Pitts really didn't do that. What he did is he didn't realize that he had Antoine Winfield on his ass. And he thought he was, going in, so he took the ball away from his body and held it by his hand, and the ball got knocked out of his hand. Mm-hmm. He learned a valuable lesson, and he was lucky. That ball, by a fraction of a centimeter, broke the plane of the goal line.
Yep, got lucky, but Malachi Corley did not. But
it's a jet. I figured that was going to be if there were ever such a jet thing.
Well, I mean, if they ended up losing this game last night, and that happened, which it did. I mean, on top of the fact that they were 2-7, this would be just scorched earth type of day again. And I'm happy that it's not. Honestly, I really am happy that it's not. I don't think the Jets are going anywhere, but at least gives you some sort of energy going into the next. I mean, you gotta set a goal, and the goal is to win out in the next 2 games before the bye. That's it.
Got to chip away.
That's really it. And it's not like you're not playing the Chiefs and the Ravens in back-to-back weeks. It's not going to be easy, and Arizona's been much better than I thought they were going to be, and you have to go into their building, and that's not easy. And they're not going to be favored in that game like they were last night. But I mean, you get to 5-6, get that week off. And the rest of their schedule, I mean, there's
they can play with all the teams on their schedule. That's why I said what I said after. I mean, going into this week against New England. But I mean, look, who knows?
It's a humongous, and I don't want to sound like I'm backtracking in any way. I'm not. I think that they're done. I believe that they're done. I'm just from the perspective of the fan that wants to hold on to something in this season. That's the way you got to look at it is, wow, they're capable of it. It's in there. That second half showed us something we haven't seen since week 3. And you got a chance to, 5-6 from 2-6 is a hell of a lot better. And then you get the week off. I mean, you're talking about, the Seahawks, which is a team that's not that great. The Dolphins, who are a mess. The Jaguars, who, they won a game last week, but oh my gosh, they've had an unbelievable, horrible season, and then they've got the Bills in there too. But I mean, so that's the way you got to look at it. Now, I don't think that they're very good. I think there's a much better chance of them losing this week and then be completely dead. But there's a chance. That second half gave you a little bit of hope.
I think it did. Now, so you remember I told you that when I was playing at the Houston Astrodome was a house of horrors for me? I think C.J. Stroud and MetLife Stadium just don't mix. I mean, he played there poorly last year and again last night. He missed open guys. I mean, he had guys wide open that he missed. Now, I also will say that the pass rush was pretty good by the Jets. They got after him. And, he was running out of the pocket. But there were guys that he missed last night. I didn't think he was on at all. And the statistics reflect it. But I would also say it has a lot to do with the fact that Nico Collins and Steph Diggs were not out there. Now, Nico will come back next week. But you take a look at these numbers; they're just kind of just awful. I mean, he was sacked 8 times last night.
Yeah, and I give the Jets defense a ton of credit. Hassan Reddick actually looked like he wanted to play football last night, so that's another.
They're killing the interior of that offensive line. They're just killing it.
Yep, which was great to see.